Black CEO was treated like an intruder, but the world watched as the truth made him untouchable. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to our main character. Step away from the building, sir. This area is restricted. The voice was sharp, metallic, the kind that didn't ask twice. Darius Cole turned slowly, one hand still in the pocket of his dark hoodie. The chill of San Francisco's night clung to the glass walls of Titan Systems HQ. His company, his building, yet the two security guards in front of him looked at him like he was breaking in. "You hear me?" One barked. "Id. Now." Darius blinked once, calm. "Left it upstairs," he said evenly. The younger guard scoffed. "Upstairs? You mean the executive floor?" "Yeah," Darius replied. "That one." The pause that followed was thick enough to cut through. The older guard exchanged a glance, then reached for his radio. "Dispatch, we've got a possible trespasser at the north entrance. Male, mid-30s, black, wearing a hoodie." That last word hit harder than it should have. Hoodie. The same description that had followed him since he was 16. The lobby lights flickered as motion sensors caught the tension. A receptionist peeked from behind the counter, whispering, "He doesn't look like a staff." Another added, "Probably delivery." The guard squared up. "Sir, if you don't comply, we'll have to escort you outside." Darius didn't flinch. He looked past them, toward the elevator that bore the Titan logo he'd designed 15 years ago, in a cramped apartment with a laptop and a dream no one believed in. He smiled faintly. "Do what you have to do," he said quietly. One guard stepped closer. "You think this is a joke?" "No," Darius said. "I think it's familiar." The words landed soft, but they carried weight, the kind of weight built from years of being underestimated and still walking through every locked door. Inside, he felt the old burn of memory. A security guard in college telling him he didn't belong in the computer lab. A landlord asking who really paid for his car. Different faces. Same tone. A faint buzz echoed from the access panel beside the door. The guard frowned. "What's that?" Darius's voice stayed steady. "That," he said, "is the system realizing I'm home." The lights shifted to white. The Titan logo pulsed awake on the wall. The guard's radio crackled a voice on the other end. "Confirm identity match. CEO Darius Cole." Silence. Heavy. Darius exhaled once, slow and precise. "Next time," he said, turning toward the stunned men. "Ask before you assume." The elevator doors slid open, reflecting his face, calm, measured, untouchable. He stepped inside without looking back. The elevator hummed softly as it rose, a column of light cutting through the glass tower. Darius didn't check his reflection. He didn't need to. He'd seen that same face under every kind of light street lamps, boardrooms, press cameras, and tonight it looked exactly how he felt. Calm on the surface, volcanic underneath. When the doors opened to the 42nd floor, the air changed. Titan Systems' executive level glowed in shades of blue and chrome, designed for people who never imagined being challenged in their own space. Yet even here, suspicion had found him. Two employees stood by the reception desk, a man in a tailored suit and a woman holding a tablet. The woman frowned first. "Excuse me, sir. These offices are closed after 8 p.m. "I know," Darius said. "I built them that way." She blinked, thrown off by the certainty in his tone. The man stepped forward, arms folded. "You'll need clearance to be up here." "ID?" Darius glanced at his watch. "You'll have it in 3 seconds." At that moment, the building's internal lights flickered again, not from power failure, but command. Security logs updated across the network. Downstairs, the guards' radios crackled with static, and a single line of text appeared on their handheld screens. "Do not detain the founder." "Sir, what's going on?" the woman asked, her voice tightening. "Accountability," Darius replied. He walked past them toward the panoramic windows, where the city stretched wide and cold. From up here, the skyline looked peaceful, millions of lights, none of them knowing what had just happened on the ground floor. He thought back to the two guards' faces, their confidence, their assumption. It wasn't the first time. It was never the last. At 27, Darius had been locked out of his own prototype lab because a night supervisor thought he didn't look like management. That night, He slept in his car and wrote the code that became Titan's first security platform. Irony had a long memory. The suited man stammered, still unsure. Cole, Darius said quietly without turning around. A pause, then a sharp inhale. The founder? Darius faced him, steady. The same one you just threatened to escort out. Silence rippled through the room like a shockwave. The woman lowered her tablet slowly. I'm sorry, sir. We didn't realize. You weren't supposed to, Darius cut in. His voice wasn't angry. It was surgical. But tonight, you saw what it feels like when appearance outranks truth. Behind him, the wall screen lit up, streaming a live feed of social media. The clip from the lobby was already spreading, grainy, shaky, but powerful. Hashtags bloomed. Number the Intruder CEO, Darius Cole. Darius exhaled softly. The world's watching now, he said almost to himself. And for once, they'll see what happens when silence refuses to flinch. He turned toward the glass again, his reflection merging with the city lights. Somewhere between humiliation and power, he stood perfectly still, the calm before the reckoning. The notification chime cut through the silence. Incoming call. Lena Wright, Chief of Staff. Darius tapped his earpiece. Go ahead. Her voice came crisp, controlled. Sir, I saw the feed. Half the internet has it already. Do you want me to issue a statement? Not yet, he said. Let them talk first. Then we'll show them what truth sounds like. He turned back toward the glass. Below, the city pulsed blue lights, traffic veins, the slow heartbeat of a place that never really slept. In that reflection, he saw the shadow of his younger self again. The boy who was once told he didn't fit the picture of success. Tonight, that picture was breaking apart on every screen in America. The elevator dinged behind him. The same guards from downstairs stepped out, pale, hesitant, accompanied by their supervisor, a woman in a navy blazer who moved with brittle authority. Mr. Cole, she started, her tone rehearsed. There's been a misunderstanding. My team was only following protocol. Darius turned, expression unreadable. Protocol? Yes, sir. It's for your safety. We have procedures for unidentified personnel after hours. You mean people who look like me? He said quietly. Her throat tightened. That's not... It is, Darius interrupted. And the irony is, I wrote the protocol you're quoting. The words hit like a verdict. No shouting, no threat, just precision. Lena's voice came through the earpiece again, audible to the room now. Sir, corporate board members are awake. They're requesting to join remotely. Do you want me to patch them in? Darius nodded once. Do it. Within seconds, the conference screen behind him filled with 6 faces, sleepy, startled, corporate. Darius, what's going on? Asked one. There's footage of you being detained in our lobby. Is that real? Oh, it's real, he said. It's what happens when bias wears a badge and calls it policy. The room went still. Even the guards stopped breathing. Do you want us to issue an internal review? Another board member asked carefully. Darius shook his head. No, I'm not interested in a memo. I'm interested in memory. I want every employee in this building to remember what they saw tonight. He walked toward the 2 guards, not menacing, just deliberate. You thought you were protecting this place, he said softly, but all you protected was your assumption. The younger guard's lips trembled. We didn't know who you were. That's the point, Darius replied. You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with respect. Lena's voice returned. Sir, live analytics show the clip just passed 2 million views. Darius glanced at the screen, then back to the stunned group. Good, he said. Let them watch. Let them see what it looks like when the system forgets who built it. He stepped closer to the camera, the board watching in silence. I'm not filing a complaint, he said. I'm initiating reform. Effective immediately, Titan will begin bias. Response audits at every level of security. Every employee trained, every report reviewed. No one spoke. The silence had changed shape, no longer defensive, but reverent. Darius straightened, his reflection caught again in the glass wall. This company was built to protect information, he said quietly. Now it's time to protect dignity. And with that, he ended the call. The boardroom screen went black, leaving only the glow of the city spilling across the glass walls. The quiet that followed wasn't peace, it was pressure, coiled tight in every corner of the 42nd floor. Darius stood motionless for a moment. His phone buzzed again, messages, mentions, headlines already spinning. Black CEO mistaken for intruder at his own company. Titan systems faces bias scandal overnight. He exhaled through his nose. They're not wrong, he murmured. Behind him, the security supervisor shifted uneasily. "Sir, if I may, this could destroy reputations. Ours, yours." Darius turned, calm but cold. "Reputation is borrowed. Character is built. Guess which one survives a headline?" The younger guard stepped forward. "Mr. Cole, I swear we didn't mean anything by it." "You meant everything by it," Darius said, voice steady. "That's the problem." He didn't raise his tone, but something about his stillness drew every eye in the room. Lena's voice returned through the earpiece. "Sir, we have reporters calling already. CNBC wants a quote." "Give them one," Darius replied. "Tell them we're not issuing an apology. We're issuing a standard." He walked toward the glass again, looking down at the streets he used to dream about from a one-room apartment on the south side of Chicago. He remembered the first night Titan got funding eating cold takeout on a cardboard box because there was no furniture yet. Every floor of this building was built from that hunger. And tonight, he was standing in the same tower being told he didn't belong. Lena broke his thoughts. "Sir, the internal network is going crazy. Employees are posting messages of support. Some are angry, some afraid." Darius's lips curved faintly. "Good. Fear means they're awake." He turned to the guards. "Hand me your access cards." The older one hesitated, then obeyed. The plastic badges trembled slightly in his grip. Darius placed them on the desk and tapped his watch. A chime confirmed their deactivation. "Effective immediately, your clearances are revoked," he said. "You'll receive your full pay through the end of the week." The supervisor's mouth fell open. "Sir, please." "This isn't punishment," Darius interrupted. "It's a pause. I want you to remember what it felt like to assume power without context. Sit with that." The elevator doors slid open again. Two members of Titan's compliance team stepped out, tablets in hand. Their presence changed the air structure, replacing chaos. Lena's voice came again, steady now. "Protocol Titan 1 fully engaged. Compliance officers on site. Live audit initiated." Darius nodded. "Document everything, every word, every gesture, every delay in judgment." One of the officers, a young black woman with braids tied back neatly, looked up from her screen. "Sir, do you want this handled privately or public record?" Darius thought for a beat, then said, "Public. Let the truth work in daylight." He looked at the faces in front of him. Fear, shame, realization, and then toward the blinking skyline beyond the glass. "The world doesn't need another statement," he said softly. "It needs proof that silence has consequences." The room stayed perfectly still. The hum of the servers below filled the air, like a heartbeat sinking to resolve. Darius reached for his phone, typed one line, and hit send. "Internal broadcast, 02, 17 amperes. M from CEO Darius Cole. Effective immediately, Titan Systems will conduct open transparency hearings on every level of operation. Because what happened tonight wasn't an accident. It was a mirror." He slipped the phone back into his pocket and whispered, "And I'm done looking away." The notification traveled through every device in the building like a pulse. Screens lit up, desks buzzed awake. From janitors to engineers, every employee at Titan Systems received the same midnight message, and the same silence that followed it. Down in the main lobby, whispers began to rise among the night shift staff. "Did you see that?" someone asked. "The CEO got stopped by security?" A few laughed nervously, others just stared at their phones, unsure which part to believe. On the 42nd floor, Darius watched the live data feed cascade across the wall screen. Every active badge pinged the system, marking acknowledgement of his message. Thousands of green lights blinked in sequence, a digital heartbeat of a company forced to confront itself. "Sir," said one of the compliance officers, "social engagement is spiking again. Hashtag number the Intruder CEO is trending #1 in the US." Darius didn't turn from the screen. "Good," he said quietly. "People remember visuals more than reports. Tonight, they'll remember this face." He walked back toward the center of the room. The fired guards were seated now, silent, stripped of their authority. The supervisor, a woman who once spoke like every policy was scripture, now spoke in a whisper. "Mr. Cole, if this goes public, people will think Titan's unsafe." Darius looked at her steadily. "No, they'll realize we're honest. There's a difference." For a moment, she tried to meet his eyes, then gave up and stared at the floor. Lena's voice cut through again, softer now. "Sir, the board has reconvened. They want to know your next move." Darius exhaled. "Tell them this isn't about me. It's about the culture they let grow in the dark. And tonight, the lights are on." He turned back to the compliance officers. Open the transparency portal to staff comments. No filters, no deletions. The young woman with braids nodded, typing rapidly. Within seconds, the internal chat exploded, engineers confessing they'd seen similar bias at client meetings, receptionists admitting they'd ignored complaints, managers apologizing for jokes they never stopped. It wasn't chaos, it was confession. Darius scrolled through the comments, his face unreadable but his chest heavy. There it is, he said quietly. Proof we were never broken, just dishonest. He remembered another night years ago when his first prototype crashed hours before launch. His team had panicked, waiting for him to explode. Instead, he said, "Don't hide the bug. Fix it where everyone can see it." Titan was born from that mindset. Tonight, it was reborn by the same rule. The elevator chimed again. Two more figures stepped out, a reporter from a major network and her cameraman, both escorted by public relations. The supervisor gasped. "You called the press?" Darius shook his head. "No, they called me." The reporter raised her microphone slightly. "Mr. Cole, do you have a comment about being treated like an intruder in your own building?" Darius paused, then looked straight into the lens. "Yes, I built Titan to protect data, but tonight reminded me data isn't what needs protection most people do." The camera clicked off. The reporter's eyes softened, almost apologetic. "Thank you, sir." "Oh." When they left, Darius stood alone for a moment, the city glowing behind him like a witness. He whispered to himself, "Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just shows up." And in that instant, every screen in Titan's headquarters went black, then reloaded with 5 simple words over the company's logo. Integrity begins with who's seen. The following morning, sunlight cut through the fog that usually guarded the San Francisco skyline. Titan systems looked the same from the outside, sleek, confident, impenetrable, but inside, nothing was untouched. The building felt awake, almost self-aware, like it knew what had happened in its walls. Darius stood in the center of the executive floor, coffee untouched, eyes fixed on the rows of monitors displaying live metrics. Employee logins, message threads, compliance reports, all updating in real time. Every corner of Titan was talking, not whispering anymore. Lena entered quietly, tablet in hand. "You haven't slept," she said. "I built this place to run 24 hours, he answered. "Might as well match it." She hesitated, then handed him the tablet. "We compiled overnight responses. 92% of employees have signed the transparency pledge you sent out." Darius nodded. "And the other 8? Silent." He sighed. "Silence is data too." She looked at him for a moment, unsure if she should continue. "Sir, the footage from last night hit national news. It's everywhere. CNN, Reuters, tech blogs, they're calling it the Titan Reckoning." He didn't flinch. Let them. Downstairs, employees gathered in small clusters, some defensive, some humbled, some ashamed. On the large screen in the lobby, Darius's internal broadcast replayed in loop. No soundtrack, no dramatic edits. Just the truth, plain and heavy. A young developer, barely 23, stood in front of the screen, whispering to her coworker. "I didn't even know what he looked like. I've been here 2 years. Her friend replied, "Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?" Back upstairs, Lena's phone buzzed. "Sir, the mayor's office just reached out. They want you to speak at the Inclusion in Tech Summit next week." Darius shook his head. "No speeches yet. You don't fix a system by making it sound good." "Oh," he walked toward the window, the morning glare tracing his reflection across the glass. "You know what they'll call this by noon?" he asked. "What?" "A scandal. That's what they call truth when it's inconvenient." Lena set the tablet down. "People are scared, Darius. Some think this could collapse the brand." He turned slightly, eyes calm but sharp. "Brands recover. Humanity doesn't if we don't course correct." "Oh." For a long moment, the room stayed silent except for the hum of the city below. Then he said, "Send a company-wide invite. Noon meeting. No titles. No hierarchy. Everyone shows up." At 12 o'clock sharp, the main auditorium filled with hundreds of Titan employees, coders, custodians, project leads, assistants. No suits, no ranks. Darius stepped onto the stage with no script, no teleprompter. He looked out at the faces, some guilty, some loyal, some simply curious. "I don't need to tell you what happened," he began. "You saw it. Maybe you felt it. What matters now is what you choose to do about it." He paused, letting the weight of that sentence sink in. This company was founded to make the world safer through technology. But if the people inside these walls can't feel safe, then Titan isn't protection, it's hypocrisy. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Darius continued, voice steady but unyielding. Starting today, no one in this company will ever be above accountability, not even me, especially not me. He stepped back from the podium, eyes scanning the room one last time. This isn't about saving face, he said. It's about finding ours again. And with that, he left the stage not to applause, but to silence thick with understanding. The silence after Darius left the stage didn't fade. It deepened. Hundreds of Titan employees sat still, processing what they'd just heard. Some avoided eye contact. Others stared at their hands, realizing the story from last night wasn't just a headline, it was a mirror. In the back row, a junior engineer named Javier broke the stillness. "He's right," he whispered. "We don't even talk to half the people on our own floor." A woman beside him nodded slowly. "We don't see them until we have to." Upstairs, Darius watched from the observation balcony through the glass wall. He didn't need applause. He needed reflection, the kind that stings before it heals. Lena joined him quietly. "You know they're scared," she said, "even the ones who mean well." "They should be," he replied. "Fear's not the enemy. Complacency is." His phone buzzed a message from Titan's global headquarters in Singapore. Board demands full statement in 24 hours. Investors concerned about instability. Darius typed one line in reply, "Stability without integrity is still collapse." End 1. He set the phone aside and looked down at the people gathering in small circles, some crying, some arguing. It reminded him of a night 20 years ago, when his mother stood in their apartment doorway after a police officer had mistaken him for a burglary suspect. He'd been 17. His mother's voice still echoed in his mind. "Baby, one day they'll have to see you before they judge you." He took a long breath. "She was right," he murmured. A voice startled him, the young compliance officer from last night, the one with braids. "Sir, we've started reviewing internal messages," she said, hesitant. "There's more than what happened downstairs." "How much more?" "Enough to show this wasn't isolated." Her tone faltered, but she held his gaze. "There are emails, senior managers, mocking staff accents, blocking promotions, flagging applicants by cultural fit. It's systemic." Lena looked shaken. "You want me to suppress this until the review's done?" Darius shook his head. "No. Bring it to daylight. If we hide it now, we become them." He walked toward the elevator, the officer following. "Sir, where are you going?" "To the floor where this culture started." Moments later, the elevator opened into the executive management wing. Conversations died the second he stepped out. Dozens of eyes followed him, some wary, some defensive. A senior VP rose from a meeting table, voice rehearsed but trembling. "Mr. Cole, we were just about to prepare the official statement." "No need," Darius said calmly. "You already made your statement last night when you let this happen under your watch." He glanced at the screens along the wall, displaying stock tickers and market trends. "You care about percentages," he said. "Here's one for you. 100% of dignity lost is still zero trust." The VP's jaw tightened. "You're making this bigger than it is." "It already is bigger," Darius replied. "It's global, and it started right here with silence disguised as professionalism." The room froze. No one argued. No one could. He turned to leave but stopped at the doorway. "At the end of today, I'll announce who stays and who steps down. Until then, start writing the truth, not excuses." As the doors closed behind him, the reflection of the room shimmered across the elevator glass, a portrait of power, guilt, and the man who refused to be defined by either. The elevator ride down felt longer than it should have. Darius watched the floor numbers blink past 38, 30, 24, each one a reminder of how deep the problem ran. When the doors opened to the ground level, the air felt charged again. Cameras were already waiting. Reporters filled the lobby like a wave that had been waiting all night to break. Mr. Cole, is it true your own employees profiled you? Will anyone be fired? Are you stepping down as CEO?" Darius didn't stop walking. His security team, now replaced with compliance officers, formed a quiet wall beside him. He didn't need force. He had fact. "No questions right now," Lena said firmly, clearing a path. But Darius raised a hand. "It's okay." He turned toward the crowd, eyes steady, voice low but clear. "What happened last night was real. I was treated as an intruder in my own company. But this story isn't about embarrassment. It's about exposure of bias, of complacency, of the danger in assuming what leadership looks like." The cameras clicked in rapid fire. The flash didn't bother him. He'd been under brighter lights before investor meetings, press launches, awards, dinners, but never one that felt this necessary. He continued. No one here is being punished for existing. They're being held accountable for forgetting. A reporter shouted, "Are you worried about Titan's image?" Darius paused, then smiled slightly. Our image just got clearer. He stepped aside as Lena guided him toward the private exit. But before leaving, he glanced back at the crowd. "Write the story how you want," he said. "But make sure you spell my name right, Darius Cole. The man you called an intruder." Outside, the morning light was sharp, almost defiant. Cars hummed by, pedestrians stared, and for a moment he stood still, letting the noise wash over him. Lena approached, holding her phone. "Sir, internal feedback's coming in. Employees are asking what's next." Darius took a breath. "Tell them this," he said quietly. "The cleanup starts today, and the first thing we're rebuilding is trust." And then he walked toward the street, no entourage, no barrier, just a man reclaiming the ground he built, one deliberate step at a time. By midday, Titan Systems was no longer just a company, it was a case study unfolding in real time. News vans lined the street. Employees inside moved like shadows between meetings that suddenly mattered. The same building that had once pulsed with quiet confidence now felt like a courtroom waiting for a verdict. Darius walked back through the glass doors. No cameras this time, just eyes, hundreds of them. Every conversation stopped when he passed. He wasn't wearing the hoodie anymore, but the calm was the same. Controlled, grounded, dangerous to anyone hiding behind excuses. In the main auditorium, the leadership team sat in a tense semicircle. Lena stood beside him, a stack of reports in her arms. She began reading. "Following last night's incident, we've identified 14 prior complaints labeled unsubstantiated. 11 came from employees of color. All were dismissed by the same review committee." The committee members sat at the front row, pale, still, knowing what was coming. Darius stepped forward. "You called them unsubstantiated," he said quietly. "But what you really meant was inconvenient." He turned to one of the men. "Mark, you chaired that review board. Tell me, did you ever even interview the people who filed those complaints?" Mark's voice cracked. "We followed procedure." Darius nodded slowly. "Procedure," he repeated. "The word people hide behind when they're afraid of doing what's right." He motioned to the compliance officer, who handed him a tablet. Darius swiped once, and the wall screen filled with internal chat logs, messages, mocking accents, hairstyles, names. No one looked up. Lena spoke again. "Sir, corporate ethics has confirmed grounds for disciplinary action." Darius raised a hand. "No, not disciplinary, transformational." He faced the room, voice steady. "Effective immediately. The following executives are suspended pending external investigation. Titan will not protect privilege at the expense of principle." Gasps broke across the room. Darius didn't waver. "You'll step out now. Security will escort you respectfully the way I wasn't treated." Oh. One by one, the executives stood, eyes wide with shame. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was cleansing. When the last door shut behind them, Darius spoke to the remaining team. "You just witnessed what accountability looks like. It's not revenge, it's repair." He paused, scanning the room, faces tense but hopeful. "We can't undo what happened," he said, "but we can decide what happens next. And what happens next is that Titan becomes worthy of the people who built it." Aye. The room erupted not in applause, but in a quiet exhale of something that had been missing for years: belief. The afternoon light slid across the lobby floors like a spotlight finding its subject. Titan Systems, once buzzing with tension, now felt different, quieter, lighter, as if the walls themselves were breathing again. Darius stood near the central glass staircase, watching employees pass with cautious nods. No one avoided him anymore. No one whispered. They looked, they acknowledged, they understood. The reckoning was no longer rumor, it was reform in motion. Lena approached, tablet in hand. "Sir, the suspended executives have left the premises. Legal and HR are coordinating next steps." "Good," Darius said. "But this can't end with removal. It has to begin with rebuild." He walked toward the atrium, where the company's mission statement was etched in steel. Innovation through integrity. He brushed his fingers over the final word and let out a low breath. "Time to make that mean something." Lena hesitated, then said, "You know, people are calling you a hero online." Darius smiled faintly. "Heroes fix moments. Leaders fix systems." Just then, His phone buzzed a message from a number he hadn't seen in years. Mom. I saw the news. Proud doesn't even cover it. He stared at the words for a moment, then pocketed the phone. Let's get back to work. As he turned to walk away, the massive LED wall behind him flickered to a new message, one broadcast to every Titan employee around the world. Today we start again. Respect isn't a policy, it's our product. And for the first time in a long time, the applause that rose through the building wasn't for success, it was for truth. By evening, the glow from Titan's tower stretched across the bay like a signal not of wealth, but of awakening. Reporters had gone. Cameras shut down. What remained was the sound of work resuming under new air. Darius sat in his office with the blinds open, city lights reflecting off the polished desk. Across from him sat the young compliance officer with the braids, tablet balanced on her knee. Mr. Cole, she said, voice steady but warm, we've reviewed all prior cases. Every single bias claim you reopened is now verified. Some go back 5 years. Darius leaned back, rubbing his chin. Then those 5 years end tonight. She hesitated. That's a lot of history to rewrite. He met her gaze. We're not rewriting it. We're recording it right this time. Lena entered quietly with 2 mugs of coffee. You haven't eaten since this morning, she said. Didn't have much of an appetite for comfort, Darius replied. They stood together at the window, looking down at the crowd of employees still inside, some hugging, some crying. For once, the building didn't look like a fortress. It looked like a heartbeat. Do you think this will last? Lena asked. Darius smiled faintly. If truth doesn't, nothing will. He picked up his phone, drafted a short internal memo, and sent it to the entire company. Tomorrow we don't meet to apologize. We meet to design fairness, the same way we design software, version by version, until it works for everyone. He hit send and whispered, almost to himself, Version 2 of Titan starts now. The next morning, sunlight poured through Titan's glass facade like it was starting over too. Employees entered quietly, no chatter, no performance, just presence. For the first time, people greeted the security guards by name. The lobby screens displayed a new message above the company logo. Built by vision, sustained by respect. Darius walked in alone. No cameras followed him, no entourage trailed behind. He wore the same black hoodie as that night, not as a statement, but as a reminder. The guards at the front desk straightened nervously, but he smiled and said, Morning, gentlemen. One of them nodded back. Good morning, Mr. Cole. Welcome home. He paused for half a second on that phrase, welcome home, and let it settle. Then he stepped into the elevator and pressed the top floor. When the doors opened, the staff waiting there didn't clap. They didn't have to. Their silence carried something deeper, recognition. Lena approached, holding a slim folder. Everything's ready, she said. Good, Darius replied. Let's make this official. In the center of the executive floor, he placed the folder on the conference table, a single-page document titled Titan Equity Initiative. Cameras weren't invited. No press release. Just action. He looked around the room, voice even but resolute. Last week, we built technology. Starting today, we build trust. Every policy, every product, every hire accountability first. He closed the folder, nodded once, and turned to leave. And if anyone ever forgets how this started, he said, glancing at the glass walls around him, tell them the CEO once got mistaken for an intruder and used it to rebuild the house. The elevator doors slid shut behind him, sealing the end of one era and the beginning of a better one.